what's going on, guys? Box here, and last week I saw some really interesting things in the market that I wanted to talk to you about. So in this video, we're going to go over last week's price action, and I'm going to show you how I personally interpret the market with the profiler, and I let the profiler tell me what is happening rather than me coming into the market with preconceived notions on what price should do. And so I want to show you how to actually look at the market through the profiler, and I think last week's price action is a great way to show that. But before we get into that, there's a couple things I need to make sure that you are aware of. If we open above the value area high, we are leaning bullish. If we open up inside of value, we are leaning neutral. We expect a range day. If we open below value, we are leaning bearish. This does not mean ape in either way. It doesn't mean always fade the edges. It is giving us a hint of a bias for the day. But another thing that you need to know is upon new day start, the previous day will always make an attempt to push to yesterday's value because price doesn't know its value. As market participants, we give price its value. So when it opens under value, it doesn't know what it is. Notice we have value down here, we have value up here, but in this box here, we have no value established. It's established here and here, but there's no value established here. And so we give it value. And so price on a new day start, when it opens up outside of value, it's going to make a push towards value. So now that those things are established, about once new day start, price will retest the previous day's value. And once we know that if we open above, we're leaning bullish, inside, we're leaning neutral, expect a range. And then the VAL, we are leaning bearish. Let's look at the market. So what do we see on new day start on this pink profile here? Well, we see we have opened below value. So what are we? We are leaning bearish. But what do we know? If we are in between value areas, price is going to test the most recent value. And so notice VAH, we just tested that and new day start. So where can we go? Well, prices, and we're leaning bearish because we are under yesterday's value. So where are we going to go? We just tested this value. There's zero value in between. Where can we go? To test value. And so what do we see? We see us come up, test the most traded price of yesterday, and reject. So as soon as this happens, we have a trade opportunity. Don't worry about my stops here. It's just so you can follow along, and by the end of this, you'll be able to have a bunch of ideas on what these trades look like. And the story that you need to read from the profiler. Again, don't worry about my stops. It's all about the take profits. So once a new day starts, we expect to push to find value. We go, we get rejected. No one is willing to buy this. So where is value? Here's value. There's no value in here. There's nothing here. This is where value is. And so we let price play. Gets down there, we take our profit, we are out. We do not hold all the way for the naked POC. That's a different trade entirely. We got to value, and now we need to wait to see the reaction. So we see that value held, and now we're starting to go higher. But as of here, we do not have a trade. There's nothing here for us to take because, again, we're in no man's land. We just got our amazing trade here. We saw the rejection, came back up, you got in a short, and you took your profits at the VAH. So until we get to the VAL here, we don't have a trade. But let's zoom in on this price action here. So we have 15, 30, 45, 1 hour. So we have now closed 1 hour inside of this value. So the 80% rule is in effect. 15, 30, 45, 1 hour. So the 80% rule is in effect, which means what? That means if we hold two 30-minute candles, four 15-minute candles, we expect price to travel to the VAH. Again, do not worry about my stop. Place your stop wherever you want. That's your business. But here's a trade that we have. So, new day start, we expect price to find value because it's outside of value. Gets rejected from value. We are now looking for a short. Price pumps up, we get short, bam, done. We don't touch any of this based off of the profile. If you turn on Armageddon, I guarantee there's a baseline one reclaim down here, but we do not have anything based off the profiler. So moving on, we get here, we see we close four 15-minute candles or two 30-minute candles. We know our target is a VAH. We get our trade. So now we have seen value is not going lower. We're getting accepted higher into value. We are bullish. But after taking profit here, I don't have a way to capitalize on these because this was the last level I had, so we're just pumping. But these were two good, simple trades that the profiler gave you. So let's move on to the next day. New day start. We are above yesterday's value. So what? We are leaning bullish. So let's check this out. What do we see? Well, upon new day start, we try to get into the profile. 15, 30, 45. Ooh, not quite. So that's already a good indication that we're trying to be accepted back into this value. But we have a nice little move. I don't want to cherry pick here, but obviously look at market structure, right? Lower high, or here's the high, sweep the high, hard rejection, lower high, you know. But just based off the profiler, let's keep this extremely simple. We have new day start. We're above value area high. We are leaning bullish. We get a nice little push, but what happens? Back into value. 15, 30, 45, 1 hour. Okay, so what is the profile telling us? We're going short. 15, 30, 45, 1 hour, 80% rule. Put your stop wherever you would like to have your stop. Again, do not worry about my stops here. And then what are we targeting? Well, on a small profile that's really dense like this, the value area high is a fair play. But when you have a really elongated profile like this, it's extremely risky to go for it in one day, hoping that it will hit its target. But you could target the POC and or the VAL. But as you can see, the POC and VAL are so close that it's a big ask. 3.5%, that's a big ask. But what we can do is we can mark out the VAL, the POC, and the VAH, because these are our only levels of reference, right? There's nothing here to reference. We've been accepted back in, but the profile is so big that hitting this in one day, it's just a stretch. But we're bearish. We get a good trade, but we're going to be looking for other levels of take profit. And so we know these could be stopping points. And if they're not stopping points, we will go all the way down here. And so you get a short from up here based off the 80% rule. And notice we get our touch to the VAH, touch to the VAH, get a reaction, touch to the POC, get a reaction, touch to the VAL, and that ends up being our bottom. But that is a trade you could take. But when you see really elongated profiles like this, do not trust that target will be hit in a day. That's asking a lot. Be a little more conservative. Spoiler alert, the 80% rule rarely fails. And, of course, price eventually hit target. All based off these four candles here. Yes, it pumped up and did its thing, but it scammed you and eventually hit its target. But let's keep moving. So now, once this bounce happens, we're just waiting. We don't have any for sure about anything. This is where you turn on Armageddon. MSX, DSR. This is where you turn those on after you get your profiler play, because as far as a profiler goes, we don't really have a play. There's nothing really set up here, so don't force it. This is an incredible teaching lesson here. New day start, we are now basing off this profile here. New day start, we open inside of value. So what are we? We are neutral. So what should we expect? Rotation, neutral, ranging behavior. Unless the profiler tells us otherwise. And notice, we open up where? Inside of value. We just tested the VAL, so where are we going to go? Right? New day, it's going to test value. We go to the POC. Okay. Price comes back down. As soon as this happens, we're immediately leaning bearish because we are asking ourselves, why didn't it, what? All these people, this was the most traded price yesterday. Why are they not buying this anymore? So we're keeping that in mind. We go to test it again. Still no. Okay, now we're really leaning bearish. Here was a warning. Hey, something weird's going on. Hey, this is for real. Something bad is about to happen. And then we get that one last push to the POC, and it is rejected. It warned you, it told you, and it slapped you in the face. It said, come on. I've showed you 3 different times that no one's willing to buy this. Well, if no one is willing to buy it, where is it going to go? It's going to seek value. Okay, so where's our closest value? We have the VAL, which is right here. We also have, again, this is what we do here. There's nothing here in this profile, so we look here, VAH, POC, VAL. That's what we look for. So once we see the third rejection, that was screaming at you, bam, and then what happens? We go down, and what a surprise. To the T, it hits that POC, because these are our only references. Price is looking for value. So that was just another beautiful play that could have happened, but bare minimum, you took it to the VAL. So then once price gets back, so now the profiler is done. That's the play we had. It is done. But now, once price gets back here, now we're interested again. Why? The 80% rule. So we zoom into price, and we notice that 15, 30, 45, 1 hour. Barely, but notice that candle closed up there. That is an hour. So what are we looking for? We're looking for a long. Again, do not worry about my stop placement. But where are we going long to? Well, where's our reference points? We have a POC right here, and we have a VAH all the way up here. So those are your 2 reference points. And what a surprise, right? Perfectly on the wick. Perfectly. But again, that's a pretty good size profile. So let's say you just took profit at the POC. Let's leave that up to that, okay? So there's another beautiful trade. So now what are we looking for? We're looking for a reaction at the POC, and what do we get? A strong reaction. Tries so hard, gets brought down, and keeps going. But now we get up to, and we're talking to ourselves, right? What is price doing? We lose value, we get accepted back in. Okay, we're going to test these levels. We test them. So now our next level of interest after the POC, maybe you took half off and rode the rest to the VAH, or however you trade, that's up to you. But once we get here, we know we're looking for another trade. Why? We opened up inside of value. We are expecting a range day. So we get here. So what are we expecting? A rejection. On this candle here, we see that rejection happen. So then, right to the POC for a nice small trade there, or you could have tried to hold it all the way to the VAL. But this is why you take profits along the way, or just understand your trading style. You know, for example, when you saw this massive candle get swallowed up, you know, that's something to think about. But regardless, even if you were cautious, there was another nice, easy, stress-free trade. You were barely underwater, if you were even underwater, period. Okay, so moving on. And then once we see that we don't get down here, what are we talking to ourselves about? Okay, people bought it. We're back to the POC. Back to the POC. Price comes in. Okay, or excuse me, volume comes in. Price is being pushed. Okay, well, where's our target? Same as before. Again, there is not a guaranteed play here with the profiler. These are all the ones I've been doing are guaranteed plays. And ones when you see the context, like, okay, we didn't even rotate to the VAL. That's showing us strength, right? It's showing us strength. People aren't even, they're so excited to buy it, they're not even letting it get low. This is where we use Armageddon, DSR, MSX, because we know upon this happening here that, oh, people aren't even letting it get down here. We might have a nice little run up, and that's when you check Armageddon. MSX, check the momentum. DSR, check the pivots. But our target does not change. Our target is still the VAH. And yes, it went a little farther, but our target is still the VAH. And so I just wanted to show you, this is news here. So, you know, play it how you will. It still did give you some hints, right? POC, we hold it, fall through it, but don't create anything lower. Get above the VAH. We are now officially above the VAH, and we broke the high of the VAH. And you get a nice little move. But this was news, so I don't recommend trading news. But I wanted to show you guys how I personally use the profiler and a way to identify setups and let it talk to you. Identify what the market is doing. Realize it. Do not analyze it. Realize what the profiler is showing you and use the market spy tools to execute. So as you can see, all these trades were profile trades. But in between all of these, like this huge run up here, this lower high here, I bet these were all Armageddon plays. And at the tops, maybe these were DSR plays. And regardless, you'd have your momentum on the bottom. But all of these were profiler plays. And notice, all of them worked out. If you want to be more aggressive, obviously less will. But none of them failed you. You didn't even sit in heat on any of them. Maybe this one a little bit, depending on where you got in. But they're solid trades, and I wanted you to see how I personally use it so it can give you a nice place to start when learning about market profile, and when it's on your chart, not just saying, what's this level? What's that level do? And just it's a bunch of lines. No, it's about value, where we are, and realize what it is saying to you. I'll catch you in the next one.